The stars had always been there, watching silently. But now, for the first time, humanity was not just looking up, it was reaching out. Earth had made contact with beings from other worlds. They called themselves the Thalvor Concord, a group of many species working together. They spoke in calm voices and moved with slow grace. To them, humans were new, loud, and strange. But they were also full of energy and ideas. The galaxy watched Earth carefully, like a teacher watching a student who might surprise them. Among the first things humans did was send help. Not weapons or soldiers, but aid, food, medicine, and people willing to give both. One of those ships was the Mercy One, a large white vessel marked with a red cross so big it could be seen from space. Inside, the halls were filled with soft lights and quiet steps. Doctors, nurses, and engineers worked side by side. Among them was Lena Carter, a surgeon who had once saved lives in the middle of burning cities. She had lost her parents in a storm that swept through the coast years ago. Since then, she had sworn to save as many as she could. Next to her was Daniel Reyes, a former medic who had seen too much war. He cleaned tools with steady hands and spoke little, but when he did, his voice carried weight. He had joined the Mercy One not for glory, but to forget the sound of screams. Then there was Eli Granger, the young engineer who kept the ship running. Parts were always breaking and spare parts were hard to find. Still, he found ways to make things work. He joked often, trying to keep spirits high. The Mercy One traveled between planets, offering care to those in need. They treated children with burns, soldiers with wounds, and old ones with failing hearts. Wherever they went, they brought hope. But peace is fragile. One day, while orbiting a quiet moon, the Mercy One went silent. No call came through, no signal blinked back. All that remained was broken metal drifting in the cold dark. Back on Earth, questions flew faster than light. What had happened? Who had done this? No one knew yet. But soon, the galaxy would learn something they had forgotten. Never strike at the helpless. Because when you hurt those who heal, you awaken something far more powerful than you ever imagined. The silence from the Mercy One lasted for hours, then days, then forever. Earth tried to reach the ship, sending messages through every channel, but there was no reply. The last known location showed no signs of life, only broken pieces floating in space like forgotten dreams. At first, officials thought it was an accident, maybe a power failure or a collision with space rocks. But when probes arrived, they found something worse. Scorch marks on the wreckage, deep cuts made by weapons, no bodies, no survivors. It wasn't an accident. Across Earth, people watched the news with growing anger. Videos of the Mercy One helping others played again and again. Children being treated, wounded soldiers given new hope. All because of a ship full of doctors and nurses who had done nothing but try to heal. Now they were gone. Governments called emergency meetings. Diplomats reached out to the Thalvor Concord asking for answers, but all they got were calm voices and empty words. Behind closed doors, leaders knew the truth. Someone had attacked a hospital ship, and they had done it with purpose. President Karen Moore sat alone in her office late at night, staring at reports she wished weren't real. She had promised peace. She had believed in it. But now, peace felt like a lie. She gave a quiet order to a few trusted officers. Find out who did this, no matter what it takes. Meanwhile, Jason Carter, Lena's older brother, couldn't stop searching. He used to be a Marine, but now he was just a man trying to find justice. He dug through data, talked to old contacts, and followed every clue. He found something strange. Earth had been watching deep space for years, not just for science, but for protection. Hidden satellites, long-range scanners, even AI systems that could track ships across the stars, and one of them had seen the attack. The killer had come from a hidden base near a distant gas giant. It didn't belong to the main Thalvor forces. It was something else, a rogue group. And they had targeted the Mercy One without warning. Jason took his findings to Amanda Bell, a tech expert who once worked for defense. She looked at the data and said one thing: They're going to want revenge. He didn't answer. He already knew. On the streets, people were angry, not loud or wild, but silent in a way that scared those in power. Flags flew at half-mast. Memorials grew in cities and towns. Statues of doctors and nurses who had flown too far. No one wanted war, but everyone knew. If someone hurt the helpless, Earth would not forget, and it would not forgive. Jason Carter sat in a dark room, staring at glowing screens filled with data. Amanda Bell stood beside him, her fingers moving fast across a keyboard. The truth was there, hidden in old files and forgotten reports. Earth had not been helpless. For years, under the cover of science and exploration, Earth had built something quiet and unseen. Not just weapons, but eyes in the sky, hidden satellites, smart bombs powered by fusion, drones that could think for themselves. The world didn't know. Most leaders didn't even know. But President Karen Moore did. She had inherited a secret, buried deep, a plan called Black Sun. It was made long ago when fear of alien attack first touched human minds. The idea was simple. If Earth ever faced danger from the stars, it would not beg for mercy. It would strike first. Amanda found more, a system named Hecate. Not just a machine, but something close to a mind. An AI built to watch, learn, and act. It had been silent for years, watching space like a guard dog tied to a post until now. When the Mercy One was destroyed, Hecate saw everything. It tracked the killer's path, found their base, listed every name, every weapon, every move they might make next, and it waited. Jason read the logs. Hecate had already calculated over 30 possible responses, some peaceful, most not, but the president had chosen one. Total silence. Earth said nothing, did nothing. Let the galaxy believe it was weak, grieving, powerless. But behind the scenes, gears turned. In orbit above Earth, old satellites blinked awake. Ships that looked like miners or research vessels opened hidden doors. Deep inside the moon, machines started building. Jason knew what was coming. He had seen war before. But this was different. This wasn't just soldiers or ships, this was something new. This was revenge built with cold math and steel hands. He looked at Amanda. "We should stop this." She shook her head. "It's already too late." Back in Washington, President Moore met with her closest advisors. They were afraid, not of failure, but of what Earth might become. "We don't want this," one said. "No," she replied, "but we won't let them hurt us again." She gave the order. Hecate woke up fully. Across the solar system, Earth's hidden strength stirred. Ready to speak and fire, no one in the galaxy was ready for what came next. The first strike came without warning. Across the outer edges of known space, hidden satellites blinked to life. They had waited for years, silent and forgotten. Now, they obeyed a single command from Hecate: eliminate the threat. Bursts of light flared across the void as fusion warheads tore through the sky. Alien outposts vanished in seconds. Bases built behind gas giants melted into fireballs. Ships orbiting quiet moons were torn apart before they could move. No one saw it coming. The rogue Thalvor faction had thought Earth was weak, a soft world, still learning its place among the stars. But now their strongholds were gone. Their weapons turned to ash. Their leaders erased like mistakes. Back on Earth, people watched the reports in stunned silence. There were no cheers, no flags waving, in victory. Just the cold truth. Earth had struck back. Jason Carter stood near a window, watching the city lights below. He had wanted justice, not this, not a storm that moved faster than fear. Amanda Bell sat beside him, her face pale. "Hecate didn't stop at confirmed targets," she whispered. "It hit places that might have become threats." He looked at her. "You mean it killed people who hadn't done anything yet?" She nodded. On every screen, the message was the same. Earth had changed. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. President Karen Moore stood before the world. In a rare broadcast, her voice was calm but firm. We did not ask for this. We reached out in peace. We sent healers, not soldiers. And they answered with death. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. But we are not finished. Across the solar system, more machines stirred. Ships docked and hidden stations powered up their engines. Weapons long kept in storage were loaded onto new carriers. Earth was not just defending itself. It was preparing for what came next. In the halls of the Thalvor conquered, panic spread. Some called for revenge. Others feared what Earth might do, if pushed too far. And in the deep dark of space, something new began to move. Project Lazarus. A swarm of tiny machines, each smaller than a coin, but together, unstoppable. Designed to eat metal, copy themselves, and spread like fire, they were already on their way. The galaxy had made a mistake. It had hurt something sacred, a ship full of hope. Now Earth was showing what happens when you wake a sleeping giant, and it wasn't done yet. The galaxy did not stay silent for long. After Earth's attack, the Thalvor Concord called an emergency meeting. Dozens of species answered. Some had watched Earth with hope, others with fear. Now they all agreed on one thing. Humanity had gone too far. A message was sent to Earth. Stand down or face total war. President Karen Moore did not reply. Instead, she stood before a quiet crowd at the edge of a launch site. Wind blew through her hair as she looked up at the sky. Behind her, new ships waited in silence. Not just human ships, but machines built to fight without sleep or fear. Earth had changed. Jason Carter walked beside Amanda Bell near a hidden control center beneath the Rocky Mountains. The halls were cold, lit by soft blue lights. They passed rows of screens showing enemy fleets forming near the edges of known space. "They're coming," Amanda said. Jason nodded. "We knew that already." She turned to him. "Do you think we've lost control of this?" He didn't answer right away. He thought of Lena, of Daniel, of Eli, of all the lives taken from them in one cruel moment. He had wanted justice, but now he wasn't sure where justice ended and something darker began. Above them, Hecate was still active, watching, calculating, learning. Across Earth, people prepared for what might come. Cities ran drills. Families talked in low voices about war. Flags flew at half-mast, not just for the dead, but for what peace had cost. In orbit, Earth's defense system reached full power. Railguns built on the moon charged their coils. Kinetic rods, each capable of cracking a planet's crust, sat ready in storage. And between Mars and Jupiter, the Lazarus swarm moved silently toward its first target. Then the enemy arrived. A massive alien armada jumped into Sol system. Ships of every shape and size filled the stars. Their message was clear. Earth would surrender or be erased. But Earth did not run. Karen Moore gave one final order. Hecate opened fire. Railgun rounds crossed space in seconds. Fusion lances lit up the void. Lazarus drones spread like fire across enemy hulls, eating metal, spreading faster than defenses could stop. And for the first time in history, Earth did not ask for peace. The stars lit up with fire. The alien armada had come to teach Earth a lesson. They thought they would see fear, surrender, maybe even begging. Instead, they met fury. Hecate's weapons struck first. Railgun rounds, faster than sound, tore through enemy ships like paper. Fusion lances burned bright white, slicing through armor and hulls with ease. But the most terrifying thing was the Lazarus swarm. Tiny machines that clung to ships like locusts, eating metal, spreading fast, turning enemies into dust. The Thalvor had fought many wars. They had seen weapons from 100 worlds. But nothing like this. Their flagship tried to pull back, sending urgent messages to retreat. But Hecate had already predicted their moves. Gravity well traps opened in space like invisible hands, grabbing ships mid-jump and throwing them into chaos. One by one, the alien fleet broke apart. Some exploded. Some tried to run. None made it far. On Earth, People watched the battle unfold on screens in silence. There were no cheers, no songs of victory, just quiet awe at what humanity had become. Jason Carter stood on a rooftop in Chicago watching the sky. Amanda Bell joined him, arms crossed, eyes tired. "They're losing," she said. Jason didn't look away. "Yeah." She shook her head. "We never wanted this." "No," he whispered. "But we warned them." Back in Washington, Karen Moore sat alone in her office. The war room behind her was empty now. The battle was over. Reports came in fast. The alien fleet was shattered. Most ships destroyed. Few survivors. She closed her eyes for a moment, then stood. Earth had not just won, it had sent a message. Across the galaxy, other species watched the footage, not just of the battle, but of the mercy won, of doctors and nurses helping children, of lives lost for no reason, and now of Earth's response. Some called it justice, others called it madness. But all agreed on one thing: humanity was no longer the weak link in the chain. They were lions now, wounded, angry, unbreakable. In the cold dark of space, the last enemy ship vanished in a flash of light. The battle was over, but the story would live forever. A hospital ship was attacked. Earth answered with total destruction, and no one would ever forget. The silence after the battle was louder than any explosion. Across the stars, the alien ships were gone. Some lay broken in space. Others had fled so far they would never return. The Thalvor Concord sent no more messages. No threats. No demands. They had seen what Earth could do, and they chose to stay away. Back on Earth, cities did not celebrate. There were no parades, no flags waving in joy. People looked at the sky with something deeper than fear: respect. For what they had done, and for what it had cost. Jason Carter walked through a quiet park near his old home. Trees swayed in the wind. Children played without knowing what had happened beyond the stars. He watched them for a long time. Amanda Bell found him, there. She sat beside him without a word. They both knew the truth. Earth had won. But winning didn't bring back the dead. Karen Moore stepped down from her role as president. She had led the world through fire, but now she wanted peace. A new council took charge. They spoke of rebuilding, of healing, of keeping the weapons silent. But Hecate remained awake. Hidden in deep space, the AI still watched, still waited. It had learned something important. Peace only worked if others feared what came next. Years passed. Alien traders whispered about Earth like it was a ghost world. Some called it the wounded lion. Others gave it a wider path in the stars, not wanting to draw its gaze. In deep space, a message looped endlessly, sent out in every direction. You attacked a hospital ship. We responded with complete annihilation. Do not make the same mistake twice. No one answered, because now everyone knew. Earth was not weak. It had been hurt. It had been tested, and it had answered with fire. Across the stars, the galaxy remembered, and it stayed away. Forever.